lot of slides today. I'm basically going to jump straight into the demo, so feel free to ask any questions in chat or jump off mute if you have any questions, and I'll go ahead and try and answer them. Apologies in advance. Still recovering from being sick all week with the cold, so apologies if I sound a little stuffy. So my name is Anthony Ramirez. I've been with Microsoft for about 12 years. I cover all things business applications for the federal civilian practice. This includes a lot of our NSG customers as well. So if it's related to Biz Apps, Power Platform, D365, I help our customers implement, design, and develop these types of solutions. So today I'm going to show you a demo of the Bookroom app. This particular application can be leveraged, and I'll talk about a use case that was used for NASA to help accelerate their process for room reservation. I have the final survey for the entire event, and I also have a LinkedIn Smart Link. So all the links are actually in that Smart Link. I'll go ahead and put that in the chat as well if you want to kind of follow along. There's a learning resource in there as well if you're not familiar with the Power Platform. Really, this track is all about amplifying, the tech assets that you already own. So a lot of you already have your Office licenses and can leverage this technology today, right? So you have the capability to deploy these types of solutions and leverage them in your own environment. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and jump over to the demo if there's no questions. Okay, so that's it for slides. Here we go. Alrighty. So the first link that you're going to see in the Smart Link there is an introduction to the Microsoft Power Platform. So if you're not familiar with the Power Platform, I'm going to use some of the concepts today. Microsoft Build also just happened, so you're going to see some features that are going to be lit up in the tenant here. They're in preview that are coming. Note that I am in a commercial tenant. So there's an asset at the very end that will allow you to access these resources if you're on the federal side, if you're in the GCC. If you're in some of the higher class environments, like the DoD environments, that GitHub page will also tell you which apps are available there as well. So we'll cover that. But great resource here on the learning site within Docs. There's tons and tons of modules and tons of free resources out there that can teach you the Power Platform and teach you how to use these applications. All of them are low code, no code. Again, you can leverage these with your existing Office license, so you don't need to buy anything, which is really awesome. Another free resource that I have thrown in the links there is the Return to Workplace. Return to Workplace is a free solution. You do need an environment to actually deploy it into, but there's apps already pre-built there that you can also leverage as well. Again, I'm going to use some terminology here, like a Canvas app, which is what this app is, versus a model-driven app. So if you're not familiar with that terminology, definitely check out that learning resource. It has a ton of great information to explain the differences. All the Canvas app sides are free. The solution is free. Anything that's on the model-driven app side, though, you would need a license for that is premium, so just keep that in mind. But the solution itself, you can download for free, and you can kind of use this as a model as you go to build and scale your own applications, which is pretty cool. Return to Workplace, like I mentioned, here's the main site for that as well. It's also in the LinkedIn point drive there. A great video on returning to work. Organizations are, coming back into the workforce and asking the questions of, well, how do we handle the location readiness, the workplace care management aspects, the employee health and safety management of those aspects, and then, of course, all up dashboarding for those location management. So Return to Workplace is a free solution that has those modules in it, those 4 modules. Again, the employee health and safety one is the only one that works if you're leveraging your existing Office licenses. So if you're going to deploy the solution like into Teams, the other ones would require, Power BI licenses or premium licenses on the Power Platform. So again, just letting you know so that you're aware. If you go to download the solution you deploy and like, hey, I'm not able to deploy this, why not? Because it does need to deploy into an environment. But this one actually does not. So if you want to kind of issue day passes, have QR codes and things like that. So that's it for the paid options. Now let's go look at all of the free options. So I'm in my Maker portal here. You can see I'm in a commercial instance, so yours is going to look a little different. This is actually the Microsoft production instance. You can see some new stuff here that you don't probably have yet that's coming that we announced at Build. But there's a whole bunch of templates, right? And I like to tell customers that these templates, you can think of them and use them as a model or a base from a UI perspective. So from a UI perspective, essentially what you could do is if you like the UI of, let's say, the budget tracker app, right, you could leverage that UI, but have it serve a completely different purpose. So this is more of like how I determine to say, okay, well, what is the idea that you're trying to solve for, right? How can I leverage my existing Office license to deploy something right for free, leveraging these models. And all of these things are already out here. If you are looking in your Maker portal and you don't see one of these apps, let us know, and we can actually publish it to that federal GitHub repo, like I mentioned, because we actually do publish those out there for you all. So the one we're going to cover today is Book a Room. Now, Book a Room is really important because it has some connectors already built into it. It's leveraging Office 365 connectors and Outlook 365 connectors, right? Office 365 Outlook. This is really cool because essentially it's already pre-wired to Office 365 and can actually tie to an existing meeting calendar, which is really awesome. So this is really a great way to get started if you're trying to have employees return to work and they're trying to book meeting rooms or they're trying to book reservation spaces for individual desks. Customers are even extending this to include layouts. So I'll show you some examples of some layouts of what we have and what we've done in the past to actually really expand the solution and get started really quickly. Okay, so before I do that, let me actually go ahead and just click on this preview app here. It looks like the demo gods are not being kind to me. So I'll go ahead and switch over to this one here. And so in a moment, what you're going to see is I'm actually running this preview app here. I'm going to actually deploy it in my environment, and I'm going to preview this app. So what this is going to do is this is going to run a Canvas app. Now, again, this Canvas app is included with your Office licenses. As long as you stick to your standard connectors on the Power Platform, you could deploy this in Teams. You could deploy it as a standalone, right? So there's a whole host of different scenarios you can leverage this particular app. And again, the cool thing about this app is it's pre-wired already with all of the existing capabilities that you would need to actually handle a reservation. So you can either book for an existing meeting. This is great if you have recurring meetings or meetings that you have special rules that you want to have set on or special categories that you want to create in Outlook, or we can book without a meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and book without a meeting, and we're going to go through there. So like I mentioned, this is actually wired to all the Microsoft locations around the world. So I'm located in San Diego, so I'm going to book in the San Diego office. Now notice I'm clicking on the actual location, and then it's showing me the rooms that are available to book. Now, what customers have done, since the scaffolding is already all here and all the screens are already built, is instead of clicking book, they've actually created a link that will actually go to a layout, and they can actually see the individual layout via Visio stencil or AutoCAD drawings with an image, and they overlaid some content over it. So it's a really great way to get started for booking and actually including layout information. So the base app doesn't have that. Essentially what it has is book. You can see here I can change the date, I can change the times, I can edit the location, or I can just click the book app here. So you could also have approvers. So in this particular case, the San Diego office actually does have approvers. So these approvers will actually automatically decline this particular request. So if you want to have an approval system or have these go into like a triage or a queue, right, and then manage that queue, you can do that as well. The San Diego office does have that. So what's going to happen is it's going to say success, it's going to book this meeting. It'll automatically send out the calendar invite. It'll automatically try to book that room, and then the room will automatically decline on the Office 365 side to say, hey, you haven't gone through the proper process to actually book this room. It's going to decline the room, and then it's going to decline the invite. Okay. So I'm going to book another room, and I'm going to book another location that I know doesn't have an approval list. I think it's the Tokyo Shinagawa office. Let's go Shinagawa A, I think it is. And you can see here, you can see some seat information. Let's actually look for more rooms. Want to find a smaller room to book. Okay, there's no smaller room, so we'll just go with the 60 one. Hopefully no one's using that currently. So I'm going to go ahead and book this room. Now again, instead of clicking book, this could go to another screen. You could have other options here. If you wanted to have different groups, right, of facility information, if you want to add projector, if you want to add other items, a lot of customers are using this in a whole host of different ways, right? Whether they're collecting assets to bring to the meeting, whether they're putting notes into here, whether they're creating agendas, right? A whole host of different ways you can extend this particular solution. So again, this is just kind of showing you the out-of-the-box experience. And the reason why I'm showing you this is I'm going to show you another example here in a moment of how we've reskinned this app and created it in another way. So right now, this is based off of all of the information that's coming in Office 365 on the Exchange side, right? But what if you don't want to do that? What if you don't want to create all of the physical locations and maintain them in Office 365? What if you want to maintain them in a separate collection or a separate list? So I'll show you another application that we've built and how we've done that. Okay, so this one is going to get approved. I know that there's no approvers on this particular location, so that room will actually go through and it will book on my particular calendar, which is awesome. Okay, any questions so far? Please, I'm not able to actually see the chat. I probably should take a look. Okay, no questions so far. Good. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to show you, this is the same exact app, Workplace Scheduler. And what we've done is we've taken Book a Room and we've broke the link to Office 365, and we're going to maintain all of the resources now locally. So what this is going to do is this is going to allow you to maintain your facilities and your locations separately, as well as extend the solution. Again, this is the same exact Book a Room solution. The only difference is it's reskinned. So this goes to show you how you can leverage a Canvas app and embed it within Teams, embed it, within a website, just like so, to show you how easy it is to kind of create and make these types of applications. So same process, right? I can create a new reservation. And I have now more information here, right? I can have a different location. I'm going to go ahead and look at the San Diego UTC location. I can have different conference room types, right? I can have a conference room. I can have a desk workspace. I can have an office space. So tons of different options from an availability perspective, right? And this can be extended, right? All of this is done through configuration. So it's really easy to extend all the various dropdowns, all the various labels for this particular application. So in this case, there's some hold workstations. You can see here we can do stuff based on a capacity model as well. So if you have a floor, like the whole fifth floor, and you want to set a capacity at 50, and maybe you have rules that say, well, at 25% capacity, right? Maybe we want to no longer allow bookings for this particular location, and then they can go to another floor and things like that. So I can go ahead and say, hey, this is the fifth floor workspace, ed chat, hello, copy that. There we go. And reserve it. And again, instead of clicking reserved, I could have also slid that over to actually look at the layout for the individual location. And then I could actually see a visual stencil of that particular location and actually edit that. So just showing you just an example of how that works. Behind the scenes, if you want to have QR codes here, customers have extended that as well. You can kind of see all the workplaces all up if you wanted to look at an approver's view by various location, things like that. You can look at it in another view over here. Again, these are kind of showing you some admin's perspectives. This is where the actual app took me before. If you want to check availability, and then behind the scenes, again, because I'm an admin, I can see and define the actual physical workspaces. So if I wanted to create a new workspace, again, you could also use this to populate Office 365 and Exchange resources as well. So if you wanted to create it in the app, and then after have Power Automate push that into Office 365 to create those resources, we have customers that are doing that as well. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and say TechFest demo location. I can give it a workspace type. Again, I could change the workspace types if I wanted to. I can make it available to reserve. I can set a capacity on it if I wanted to. A location. Let's do San Diego 2. Give it a category. We do have API for Bing Maps as well. So if you wanted to include like a Bing Maps API for the location, you can put in the X and Y values there for those. We'll say this on the fifth floor. Office number is 23. And this is my desktop demo. Okay, so I just created that new location, that new workspace, and then I can actually also do locations as well. So if I wanted to create a whole new location, I could specify that location as well, right? Demo location. And say whether or not it's enabled. And again, image X and Y values, Latin launch values, and then map images if you have an API key for Bing. If you wanted to do that as well, this particular app has that capability out of the box. Go ahead and save that. So now if I come back, and again, this is now published to the entire environment. So if I click new reservation, I can come in and I can see, I should be able to find that demo location that I created. And then I can just assign a desk or workspace. I actually think I did it into this one here. Let's go ahead and check here. And there's our demo location there as well with a capacity of 25. Right, so really easy to on the fly without having to make a whole bunch of changes, having to write any code, or make a huge update for push for changes, right? Just do it all through configuration, right? Really easy to extend these types of applications, leveraging your existing Office licenses, right? Leveraging what you own. Okay, so you can see here we've had some other demos, NIH, NASA, other customers have taken this and actually use this as the foundation for their application. So NASA is, announcing a global program that they're going to be using for this particular application. It's called Book a Space. So they renamed the Book a Room tool to Book a Space. So really, really great seeing how they leverage this type of technology to really, enhance their entire development process and build a room reservation solution that can book actual, desk space as they look to return to work, which is really awesome. So here's another example of a quadricopter factory plant app. This particular app is actually looking at IoT data. So there's IoT data on a product line, but this is just to give you an example of how you can take a Visio stencil or a layout and actually have rooms. So when I mentioned clicking that book icon or clicking that reserve icon, you can actually slide to a screen like this and then have someone click on an indicator, right, over a particular room to actually book that individual location. So this is what we've done for a manufacturing shop from a floor management perspective tied to IoT data, but it just gives you a general idea of how you can have layouts actually tied and integrated into the application. Some other examples here. This is another example from, I think Reza. Yeah, Reza built this one. It's a public example of how he leveraged a Power BI dashboard, and within that Power BI dashboard has a Visio stencil, and then has an app embedded in that Power BI dashboard, and then also has the elements of the dashboard as well. So that as things are being booked near real time, you can actually see, what's being booked, and you can actually click on the actual individual desks, and it will filter down the available desks and the reserve date and the time and things like that. So just some examples of how you can have layouts, different ways you can interact and have layouts as a part of your Canvas app. So I mentioned previously there also is a GitHub repo. This is the GitHub repo as well. It's in the link on the smart link there. This is a repository that has a whole bunch of different demo applications. You can see the Book a Room demo application is on here as well. If it's available in GCC, GCC High, and DoD, so the Book a Room app template is here. There's a whole host of other scenarios that we publish here as well. I know in some of the other sessions on the Power Platform side, people are asking, oh, where could we get some of this code, some of the repos to be able to download these solution files? This is a spot to do that. So if there's any apps that you see on the commercial side that you want exported so that you can leverage it in the GCC environment or some of the other, GCC High DoD environments, let us know and we can export those for you as well and make sure that you have those solution files available so you can deploy them in your environment. So if you click on one of these, it's going to show you all of the different instructions for how to import it and how to use the solution. But today I really just wanted to show you kind of a demo of, Book a Room. You can see the example that I showed you earlier, which is like, hey, here's just the Book a Room app. It's leveraging these resources. I've shown you kind of how we've tailored it, put a whole new UI on it, so it doesn't have to actually be tied to your Office 365 resources. If you want, you can run it in standalone. And I talked about how other customers are kind of using this particular app from a layout perspective. And I also mentioned kind of the NASA scenario where they're using the Book a Space, what they call Book a Space tool, which is essentially Book a Room at its foundation, to combine a lot of these concepts into a fully, working production application. So that's really it for the demo. If you guys have any other questions, I can dive into other things around Flow. I know I mentioned some other topics, Canvas apps, model-driven apps, a little more about the Power Platform, right? There's all these other connectors. So there's a whole trigger-based system behind the scenes. So anytime a new record is being created, anytime you're taking any action, you can actually leverage a lot of these connectors. Now, again, this is a commercial instance, so there's going to be probably more connectors here than what you'll have available in your environment. But there's a whole host of connectors available in the GCC that you can leverage. I mentioned keeping with, all this stuff is free. If you're leveraging an Office 365 license, a G license, G1 through G5, you can leverage this. You do have to stick to standard connectors though, so you can't get any of the premium connectors because that would require an additional purchase. So it is important to know to stick to those kind of standard connectors. And you'll see that if you go in here and click to one of these, one of them, for example, like this one, it should tell you that it's a premium connector. So you'll see a little diamond here on the right-hand side for that one. Okay, let's see. There was a question about Visio Stencil. Does that require a custom connector? No, actually, you could just leverage Microsoft Visio to actually create the stencil. And then just like we've done here, actually just overlay that as a image. So you could just use Visio, design it, right? Or this can be a CAD drawing as well. Most of the environment and facilities people will have CAD drawings. And you could leverage that as well. And essentially, this is just an image, and then you're overlaying buttons on the Canvas app side to that particular image to actually interact with that application. So, yeah. Great question. Yes, yes. Okay, any other question? The time is yours. If not, I will not hold you for lunch. I know we're at that lunchtime hour. So if you have any other questions or anything else you want to see, either within the Booker Room app itself or within the Workplace Scheduler app or the Manufacturing Shop Floor app, just let me know. I'm going to stick around for a little bit. And if not, thank you all for your time. Again, the Fed Tech Fest link is here. Again, you're going to get the LinkedIn point drive that has a learning intro to Power Platform, the return to workplace solution assets, the GitHub repo, and then the overall event survey. Alrighty. All right, I'll stick around if anyone has any questions. If not, thank you all and have a great day. Hope you're enjoying your Fed Tech Fest. Thank you.